George.
So the tables have turned for Fergus Barlow. Normally he's the one doing the interviewing, but I'm here interviewing him today. We're at the McDonald Arms in Mull, just before the Mull Rally 2024. And we want to know a bit more about you, because you obviously, we see you on the podcast interviewing loads of different drivers, but you yourself drive and you've got a great story behind it. But before we get into the rallying side of it, what are you like outside of rallying? What do you get up to? What's your job? What's your day-to-day life like?
Well, that is a pretty open-ended question. I'm somebody who's into so many things. You know, as I've been growing up, I've kind of like, probably a bit faddy, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like once I get into something, or like, let's say it's rock climbing or diving or whatever it is, you know, it just kind of like, get a bit obsessive with it, which is funny because that kind of does relate to the rallying a wee bit as well, doesn't it? Like I think in lots of the podcasts that I've done, the mindset of all of us is kind of very similar. Like we're all kind of, let's say, obsessive or passionate about anything. I don't know, is that ADHD? What do they call that? Yeah, there's probably a little bit of that in it. But yeah, no, my main job is in the Merchant Navy. So I, at the moment, work for CalMac on the ferries. So I'm a marine engineer to trade. But out with that, I would also spend some time when I was younger as a commercial diver. So through my dad had a company called Aqua Sky Diving, and actually had fish farm contracts. So here we are, obviously in Tobermory, and this is where kind of like I was brought up. And kind of the natural progression for me was I was going to college to do my Merchant Navy stuff, but when I came home from sea, I had the diving to fall back on. So it wasn't always very glamorous, you know, diving in with all these, you know, in the salmon farms, and you know, I'll leave that to your imagination. But yeah, it made a good bit of income, and kind of, you know, got me in a good way. But yeah, out with that, obviously, the stuff that you've maybe seen on telly, I've been quite enjoying doing a little bit with island crossings, and obviously that's all awarded to me through CalMac. That was just speaking to the right person at the right time and creating a good opportunity. And obviously I'm a bit of a mouthpiece, so it seemed to work quite fine.
Oh, very good. Just say, what's it like actually, the different setups compared to that? How big is that setup for the TV?
So it was actually not as, let's say, big as I might have thought. It literally is just somebody like yourself coming along with a camera and saying, it's what's called an observational documentary. So there's no money paid for it or anything. It's not, you're just like, okay, can we follow you while you're doing your job? And then if we maybe ask a couple of questions while you're doing it, then feel free to tell us. And that's what it was. And obviously, once I was explaining a bit about myself, and I says, I do this thing, called rallying. You know, I do a bit of rallying here and there. And they're like, what the hell's that? You know, because they didn't know what any of this was, or, you know, any of this hype, or the Mull Rally and the whole thing that we all know and love. So they were, you know, hugely interested in that. And that's kind of like what spiraled on from there. Was we kind of then said, well, we'll cover a bit on the ferry, but what about we come up on the rally and we'll do a bit of filming? And it was funny because obviously the show is kind of commissioned by the BBC. It's not the BBC who film it. It's another company, and then they have to like sell it to the BBC. So they'd filmed all this footage, but they were like, just stand by that maybe not any of this is going to make it. Maybe just the stuff on the boat is. So I was kind of anxiously watching the episode, and I think, you know, the BBC obviously signed off on it because it was kind of like more of like an adrenaline-packed, action-packed like program compared to maybe what they were wanting, just like CalMac stories, or like there's disruption, you know, with CalMac, or the ferry's off, or you know, you're in dry dock or something. But I really enjoyed the whole process, and I love to share with people like things that I've done and try and like, you know, motivate and kind of bring on the next generation to do things. So certainly with the Merchant Navy side of it, like I love the engineering. I think it's a fantastic job, and certainly with CalMac it is really good. You know, you would maybe go to college and go, you know, spread your wings a bit first of all on big container ships and stuff, but then you can come back to, you know, some of these nicer jobs a bit closer to home.
Yeah, wow, very, very good to say, because we're getting on TV quite a lot these days, aren't you? Is it 2 or 3 episodes you're on?
Yeah.
They are a very good watch. Right, let's get to a bit of the motorsport,
let's get stuck in then, yeah. So this is what we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, everyone's waiting at home. So you started off with karting, obviously.
That's right.
How did you get into that? Why did you get into that? So yeah, tell me all about your karting days.
So the karting started mostly because we went on a family holiday and we would go down and visit Weymouth Beach, down the south of England. We go with my mum and dad in the camper van, and we go down and, you know, just enjoy our holiday. Now there's the go-kart track there at Lyd, which near Kent, or in Kent. I should really know that. But, so it's close to that area. And we went there, and there was what was called a senior Rotax, or senior go-kart there.
Right.
So we did like the corporate stuff and like the arrive and drive, and we had a bit of crack around there, and it was dead good. But then my dad had actually done karting when he was younger. So then he always had this thing where he's, there's the racer in him.
Yeah.
It's kind of built in. And we then had a look, and then we're like, right, we'll buy a kart. And the idea was that we're going to share the kart. Now, the insurance side of it down in England is different to Scotland. So we got this senior kart, senior Rotax Max. My dad was a bit bigger at the time. He won't mind me saying.
Yeah.
It was FB and FB racing, and I was Fergus Barlow, and he was Fat B. So, he was pretty comfortable with that. But so he had this really big seat at the time, and I was tiny. Always dead skinny, just skin and bone, and I had this tiny small cadet seat, and so we pack in all the rags all round and about, and then we put it in, and we had drilled holes, and we cable tie, the two seats together, and then we had we had a boss in the steering wheel, and we had like these pedal extenders, so we put all this on. So here's me, tiny wee, like 12 years old, and we'd use the same kart, and obviously I'm so much lighter than Dad that this thing was wheeling coming out the corners and stuff. So we were down and really enjoying it, and I was absolutely buzzing. And then we came up to Scotland and went to what turned out to be our local track, which is Lark Hall. I went on there, and Stevie the marshal came down. You're right, and nice to meet you. What's happening? So who's going out in what kart? Oh, well, we're both going out in this. No, you can't go out on that. That's a senior kart. You're only 12. That's not allowed. And I was absolutely heartbroken and gutted. And at that point in time, one of my good friends now, Ryan and Donald Ellis, they were overhearing this. And then they came over, and they could see I was absolutely distraught. I says, well, look, why don't you have a go in Ryan's kart? We'll get you by. And then at that point in time, Dad was obviously thinking, we've made an error here. First of all, the Fergus is not out in this, but the second one is he's going to have to spend more money and get another go-kart. Yeah. And that's what happened.
Right, so
yeah. So I had a little go in Ryan's kart, and that was great, kind of got the bug. And kind of took to it quite well, to be honest, in the first instance. And so myself and my dad, we then raced the go-karts over the next sort of like 4 or 5 years together. Hugely privileged to be able to do that. Dad was spending probably 30, 40 grand a year just for our hobby, for the two of us. It's a huge expense. So, and then once you get competitive as well, you kind of can't compete with a lot of people. Like I remember, I would never listen to my dad. My dad was, oh no, you've got to change karts, you've got to do this or whatever. Wouldn't listen to him. And Paul D'Arista's dad, the Formula 1 driver, Louis. So Louis was there racing with Stefan. And my dad went over and had a word with Louis and says, look, Louis, can you go and have a word with Fergus? Because the Rotax class that we were in was hugely competitive and hugely expensive. And there was a more cheaper version, which was in the form of Formula Blue. So Louis comes over, on the shoulder, right, son, this is how it's going to go. It says, such and such has just bought 20 engines, brand new. They've put all of them into Ogden, which is an engine manufacturer. They have dynoed all 20, found the best 3 or the best ones. They've then stolen all the best bits, like say they've got a barrel from this one and the crank out of that one, put them all and made 3 of the best engines that you could make. Because, that's just like through maybe manufacturer error or some, little impurities or something, make it maybe just have that little bit of an edge.
A little bit, adds up to one big bit at the end, doesn't it?
Exactly. So then, I'm racing against these guys who have done this and they've got these engines, and you're just, a tenth, 2 tenths up the straight, they're just pulling, and you're never going to compete with that. So anyway, once Louis came over and I listened to Louis, right, yes sir, no problem. Right, Dad, I've got this idea. I'm happy to give up the Rotax. He's like, oh, right, funny old thing that. So then we moved in, and then in the end we actually raced together. Once I was 16, myself and my dad raced together, and it was fantastic. I got some incredible memories, and so thankful to my father for making that happen, and everyone around me at the time.
Very good. Who were quicker than you or your dad when you finally versing each other?
So, good question. So, I think, obviously, with the youth on my side, my reactions are quicker. And Dad's never been afraid to say that. He's like, I can react just quicker, purely due to age. But my dad is a very aggressive driver and very, very fast. And there is actual story when we were up racing. Now, I believe it was in Banff or Golspie, one of the tracks. And we were actually sitting. Now, I was on pole position. and he was on second. So it's a rolling start. So you're all going around the same, right? So we're coming up, and at the end of the big long straight at the start, there's a square right, basically. Now, the idea is that the person in pole on a rolling start should be in front of the person in second.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so what a technique I used to do was I would back off really slowly, and encourage and induce a false start because the person in second would be in front.
Yeah.
So they'd put out the false start flags and they go round. Second time round, the person that was in second would have that much fear that I would come out the last corner and I'd shoot off immediately. And I'd get a good boost on them. So I tried this technique with my dad. Well, they green lighted it and they said, that's fine, that's okay. So they went. So my dad's on the outside, I'm on the inside, and he's probably got half a cart length in front of me. Come up into the first corner, and I'm like, I deserve to be in front. He's jumped the start. This is not okay. So just I'll go flat out. And I came right in, and what did he do? He turned right in on me. I hit him. I went, spun off in the air, into the gravel, wrecked the go-kart, the axle, the wheels all bent up, and I was raging. And then Dad was coming round, and and I'm giving him, I was like, yeah. Fucking yeah. I was absolutely fuming with him. But we laugh about it now, of course. Yeah. But, it's just kind of like that adrenaline in the situation. Yeah. But it was amazing to be able to, race go-karts with your dad. And yeah, we actually ended up racing together in Formula Fords for one race as well. So,
very good.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, well, has that helped you then with going into rallying? Has been starting off with go-karting, has that helped you with rallying? Has that meant that you're really only realistic to do tarmac events now? Or do you think if you did something else, you'd do gravel events? Has that really shaped your rallying career? Yeah,
so that's a very good question, and good that you were mentioning about the tarmac and gravel. So I would say that karting has helped me in rallying, and it's helped me because I'm kind of ultra smooth, pick the racing lines. I'm not really erratic, and probably less risk of me crashing compared to other people who may be a bit more on the ragged edge. Quite good on tarmac, but you've hit the nail on the head. When I went into gravel, I did a couple of events over in Ireland, the Bushwhacker, the Lakeland stages, and then I might have done another one, I can't remember now. But I was sitting with Emmett Sherry on my first one, and I remember him, kind of saying, put your handbag away, and you need to not be afraid to get out the lines, because I was driving so smooth. I was like, oh, it slid a bit, let's correct that, let's just keep it straight. Whereas, I should have been coming in, launching it sideways, using that additional braking. So it took me a good while to get into the gravel. I mean, in the end, I wasn't too bad, but certainly I'm more at home on the tarmac. For the karting background, it does help, and it sometimes hinders you as well. It might almost be worth, the youngsters doing a bit of go-karting and then maybe getting into the likes of cross-kart or buggies, or quads was a good one actually. One of my foundation members was mentioning that his background is not in go-karting at all. His background was in quads. And if you have a look at the likes of Neil Roskell, his background is in quads as well. Yeah. So you become very competent and relaxed at high speed sideways. Yeah. Which ultimately, I mean, you look at Cali Rovanpera, like his drift experience, obviously he's completely, hugely naturally talented and so, in driving and all that. However, you can see his advice to Takamoto Katsuta is go out, do your drifting, rely on that. Once you get comfortable with the car sideways, then you're going to be, a lot quicker.
Right, so we'll move on to the car history. So you started off with your Saxo, was it?
That's right, yeah.
What little car? Tell us a bit more about that.
So the Saxo came about, funny story actually about that, was I was in a car crash with my friend Richard. So I had two big expenses at the time. So one of them was I just got laser eye treatment, which cost me £5,000.
Wow.
So I had £5,000 ready to pay for that laser eye treatment. And I also had something else. Now, what was it? I think, or maybe I didn't have the money, but anyway, I got a payout from the insurance. That's what it was. So I was set up to have interest-free finance from a laser eye treatment, £5,000. Good to go. I then got an insurance payout for £5,000 after that. And I thought, well, right, I'll tell you what I'll do is I will pay off my laser eye treatment. But I went to sea for a month, and I was in the North Sea with Richard Sutherland, one of my other good mates, Sudsy. And he says, well, I've got no regrets, he says. I've got no regrets. Anything I wanted to do, I just spent the money. He says, you could die tomorrow, just go for it. So that was it. He only had to speak for a short amount of time. came back, and that £5 to pay off my laser eye treatment. Then all of a sudden, I took the interest-free finance. I was still paying that off for a couple of years after, and I bought myself a rally car. So that £5 went in straight in, and we bought the Saxo, which was actually a Mull car originally in the form of Anda Campbell. And it's actually doing the rally this year.
Is it?
Yeah, one of my foundation members in the form of Finn Thomason, he's got my car. It's changed colour schemes now, and it's kind of a blast from the past, like having a look into it and stuff. But it's great to see the car still going and still here. But the Saxo was a great wee car, and it was fantastic to kind of like learn your trade,
Yeah.
And there's not too much expense. If you crash that, then you can put it in the shed for a year and you can get it sorted.
Yeah.
A slow time. Whereas obviously your hiring cars now has to be fixed like immediately because it's out the next weekend.
Yeah.
So the stakes are certainly different.
Definitely. So then you jumped to was it an R2 Ford Fiesta?
That's right. Yeah.
What was was there a big difference between them? I'm guessing there will be.
Yeah, there certainly was, and it was more like you felt like there's M Sport stickers in the car and just everything's all like as it should be. You feel kind of more like, wow, this is the real deal now. Like I thought that was basically like a world rally car. When I sat in that R2 Fiesta, I was like, this is incredible. Yeah. I remember it was sitting on the stands, and when I went over to Ireland first to see it, it was sitting on the stands, and he was like, right, I'll just show you the flat shift and just, show you how it works. And obviously there's a little limit switch. When you pull the lever, that just cuts the revs just enough, and then that allows the dogs to click in. So it was on the stands, or bang, bang, going up the box and then down the box and just feeling, I was like, wow, this is cool. And I was over there and I shared all that LA experience with, my co-driver, Alistair McCrone, which is John McCrone's brother. An incredible co-driver, and such a shame that he never really took to the driving himself because he's really, really fast, really quick. Both him and John are incredible drivers, which is clear to see. Yeah, over in that R2 car, it was fantastic, and I kind of like built up my dreams from then. I was like, what do I want to do with this? Highly ambitious, as I'd said before, and passionate about it. I was like, right, I want to follow my hero in the form of John McCrone. John McCrone was in the Junior WRC or the Junior Academy or whatever you want to call it at the time. Yeah. And I thought, that's fantastic. I want to do that. And yeah, obviously wanted to win the Mull Rally one day. So I've only managed to tick off one of them, but I was kind of residing to the fact that I didn't need to do, get into the Junior WRC or do it, just the budget that was involved. It wasn't realistic and it wasn't something that I was prepared to do. Obviously I had lots of other things on in life, and you've got to decide, like, where are your priorities and how far do you want to take this, So I'm quite happy with, the way and that I've taken it, and it's allowed me now to kind of move on to other things, let's say.
Yeah, so you did quite a lot of rallies in that Rally 2 car, didn't you?
Not a huge amount. I did some, I did, let me think, a couple of gravel rallies at the Lakeland and the Bushwhacker, and then we did 3 rounds of the BRC, and then I ran out of money. I had big aspirations to, all right, I'm going to go for it, going to do the whole lot, and we did 3 events. We did the Scottish, we did the Pirelli, the Pirelli was fantastic. It was a great rally, and I think what made it great in the R2 Fiesta was the fact that it was dry, and Mull and all that were so used to changeable conditions, and it's kind of like managing risk, really, isn't it? How far do you want to push it? You can see the road's wet, you're on slicks. What are we going to gamble on? But the Pirelli was completely bone dry, and I just remember, coming in, how the car's feeling, the setup, and you're like, right, let's just set it in and see how it feels. And it was really, really enjoyable. I absolutely loved that. A real highlight in the R2 days was in that. But it was great. I'd say we did the 1 round of the ERC, but all that basically means was we did the Circuit of Ireland and paid the extra money for the entry fee. Yeah. So it wasn't like we were going there. I couldn't sit here and tell you, I did the European Championship, because I didn't. I did 1 round of it. But it was just nice to kind of get that international license, get your signatures, and kind of do all that, experience like international timing and stuff, and really see what it's like with the big boys, and how they do it. And it really was a different experience to see. It's like, I remember saying to some of the lads at home, I was like, the difference there with these guys is that you're having moments pretty much every stage, and you're just managing that better. Like maybe, as like a novice or sort of an amateur kind of coming, like say from Mull Rallying days, whatever, if you have a bit of a moment, you're backing off and you're like, oh, that was dodgy. But it's so competitive in that environment that when you have a bit of a moment, you've got to just keep it up, keep going. So, I did learn a lot from that. It was really good.
Is that like the car that you probably learned the most in then, the Rally 2 car? That's where you like learned almost your skill and like the technique that got you to obviously win?
That's right, yeah. I think, and certainly this year, we're in a left-hand drive Rally 2 car that mirrors my kind of muscle memory from the R2 Fiesta that we had back in the day, because that was left-hand drive.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the experience and stuff that we had building up was in the R2 Fiesta, and all that hard work we put in with Ali Macron in the passenger seat was, that's all kind of like is what's paid off really.
And then after that car, you went to four-wheel drive with a Subaru, didn't you?
That's right, yeah.
How big of a difference was it? Like a big change? Did you have to change your whole driving style, going from a two-wheel drive car up to the four-wheel drive car with more horsepower, more grip? How big of a change was it for you?
So it certainly was a change, and it was something that I was kind of anxious about, and I was like, oh, how am I going to manage this? It's a much faster car. And I remember out on the recce, stopping, speaking to Jonathan Mounsey at the end of Screedon, during the recce, and I was saying, oh, I'm a bit worried about this and a bit worried about that. And every single person said to me, there's nothing to worry about it. They said it's armchair rallying. Well, they couldn't have been more right. Honestly, once you get in this thing, you basically just set it in, carry the speed, and the times will come. Just feed it gears, constantly use the torque. It flies really well, and it was just quite an easy car to drive. It was exactly like there's plenty of power there to dig you out of a wee bit of nonsense, if you just get it a bit wrong, whereas I was coming in the R2 Fiesta and I'm sweating, the sweat's kind of pissing off me, I'm like, oh, jeez. You're really trying hard on that. You're like, you come over and you've maybe missed a gear, or you've come down a gear, down into fourth and then back up to fifth, and you're like, oh, I should have held fifth. And then at the end of the stage, you're going, damn it, if I just held on to that gear, maybe a tenth or a second, or, or half a second or whatever. Once we went into the Subaru, it was much easier.
Yeah, just didn't really have to wait, just sorted itself out, kind of.
That's it, yeah.
I've heard with the four-wheel drive turbo cars, they're just like,
yeah.
You're so quickly up, you feel like you're going so much slower than you actually are.
Yeah.
Like compared to when you're in a two-wheel drive car, you can properly feel the speed. You can feel like it's a whole body experience. The
setup, I wasn't that good at setting that up. Just jumping in the four-wheel drive and stuff. It took me a wee moment where, admittedly, we were probably quite soft in it, and didn't have the confidence to adjust the setup too much. But the second year when we came back, we had that kind of narrowed down, and that was a lot better. Just unfortunately, the turbo blew up on us on the 30-mile stage, the long one. And as what you can see in the documentary, which kind of caught it really well, it was just like the emotions that kind of goes with that.
Yeah.
I think I would have been happy or comfortable if I'd made an error.
Yeah.
If I'd slipped it off or put it off or broke too late or done something, but I was managing my risk and how much I wanted to push and what I had to gain from that. So I was kind of happy with what I was doing. So to have a mechanical failure, it really dug deep. It was a sore one. It really was.
Your hands are there's nothing you could have done better.
Nothing
to do that.
Yeah.
But then you did when you were in the Subaru, you did get fourth, didn't you?
So the first year we were in the Subaru, we came fourth, and then the second year we were on for sixth place, basically. Yeah.
So when you get fourth, you just like one off the big parade down.
Yeah.
The champagne show. Were you over the moon, but you got fourth, and it's your best result yet, or were you absolutely gutted that you just didn't get that one extra place?
No, I wouldn't say I was absolutely gutted. What I would say is what I've learned from myself now is how you adjust your expectations. So first of all, you might say, well, I just want to get in the calendar. And then after Friday night, you might put in a good performance. You're like, right, we're on the calendar. And in the calendar means top 12.
Yeah.
Obviously, one for each month. So that's kind of like what everyone comes to Mull to do. Oh, I need to get on the calendar. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So get on the calendar. So then, right, you maybe Friday night, we're sitting 10th. Right, okay, if we can just get 8th or 6th, we'll be winning our class. Okay, then you do that. And you're like, well, top 5 would be great, wouldn't it? And then it just keeps going from there. So then the top 5 comes, you're like, right, if we maybe get 4th place, right? So 4th place, and it just keeps going on. You tell yourself, I'll be satisfied if I'm 5th, top 5, right? Excellent. And then that comes round, and then the expectations change, and you're like, oh, well, I'm in 5th now. Let's adjust that. And it was quite surprising to learn that about me in the mindset that you're always going to be hunting for it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're always looking for something. So, Yeah.
So you did get just outside the top three, and then you came back with a plan, with a Rally 2 car. And I think we all know how that went. You won. Like, when did you realise that you could actually win the rally? Like, was there one moment you think, right, was it where the harp went out or something, I could actually win this? Or is it just like, you're always just like, no, let's not get ahead of ourselves? Did you have that, I could actually win this here moment?
So basically the mixture of emotions and how that went was obviously Saturday day, John was setting off in front of us, and unfortunately, he'd pulled in with the hazards and absolutely gutted. John has been incredible to me and to everyone in the Mull Rally community. He's a beacon of support. He's completely open and always happy to help anyone. So the first response when you see that, you're absolutely gutted for them. You don't want it to be that way. My game plan before that rally was third place.
Yeah.
I would have been happy. As we said, behind the piper, good to go. That's fine. I'll be happy with that. John went off, and then it's like, right, okay, let's just keep a push on here and see how we get on. So obviously coming into, we had Screedon and Greeben ahead on the Saturday night, and I thought, Daniel's 40 seconds up the road. Let's have this. We've got an opportunity. We have to push. So I then started to push, and in Screedon towards the end, coming up the kind of winding corners up the top, I had a bit of a moment, and I was like, oh goodness, right, okay. It was just, I was really trying to learn what the car could do, because I was well back from the limit, miles back from it, and just really like try and use the diffs and kind of go round. And I was just a little bit wide, and I had a little bit of a moment. I thought, right, okay, let's manage that. Let's keep the push on here. I went down into Greeben, and I was pushing hard down Greeben, and that was like where that moment that I've put online before, which you'll maybe just see now. So in that one, basically, the window wiper stock in the right-hand drive, to put it on, you have to put the stock down rather than up.
Yeah.
So when I went over a jump, I compressed, put the wipers on, and in that split second, I've looked down, put the wipers off, and in that moment, it's distracted me just enough that I've put a foot on the grass.
Yeah.
Once I'm on the grass, it's then slid that way. I've kept the foot in it, just about, and then we've straightened up, and I was like, wow, and I just remember seeing this huge rock on the right-hand side of me. I was like, that could have been nasty. And we came out of that one, and I said, Craig, I'm going to chuck away second place. And I'm not willing to do that, so let's just bring it back.
Right, so you were trying to proper push for that win.
For those, so for two stages,
Screed
and Greeben I pushed, and with those two moments, Daniel was still quicker than me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to chuck this away here. You're better just staying calm. Just do what you were doing. There's no need for that. Just get second place. You're behind the piper. Let's have it,
So then when you heard that Daniel, it was Saturday morning, wasn't it, that he had a problem?
So he did have a problem earlier on, which he managed. He continued on.
Yeah.
And in the Saturday day, he had a bit of a moment on the Mission Schloss, and I think he was maybe up on a verge or something. I'm not sure exactly. And that may or may not be where the wheel bearing issue started.
Right.
But then coming into the Saturday night, so we've done these two stages, and then we did a longer one where we came down Tooth and round Calgary.
Yeah. At
the end of Calgary, we came down, and then we seen Daniel at the side, kind of parked up, and we says, his co-driver was looking at us, and he's like wheel bearings away. No, that's us. And we're like, oh my God, we really genuinely care about these people. Like, we've had great crack with them, and you never want it to be that way. But we had that, and then it was kind of like that feeling of adrenaline, almost like, see when you see, like if you see a ghost or like something that's like where like the blood drains out you. I can feel it just now, actually, the same feeling. Like, I've actually got goosebumps. Like, we were driving down a little bit when we came out of Calgary, and I was like, Craig, we've won the rally. Now, obviously,
still a couple of bits to go.
There's still a couple of bits to go, but I knew how far James Ford was behind me. He wasn't making any inroads on us. I knew what I could do. I knew the stages that we had ahead, and I said to Craig, I was like, we've won this rally.
So that was the moment.
That was the moment I knew.
Yeah.
I was like, we've won this rally, and we actually said to Ryan Locken, and we'd sent a message or whatever or something, and he kind of said, basically, don't get ahead of yourself or whatever. Basically, gave us a bit of a telling off. But I was like, look, I'm managing my emotions. I know exactly what I'm doing here, and I know how this can play out. And it was from that moment on that, we just carried on, and we actually had a bit of a worry, and it wasn't actually any technical issue with the car. So we came round and we thought, because it was another loop, the same loop again, I think. maybe 4 or 5 stages after that. And I was like, the exhaust is broken, Craig. The turbo's gone. Something, because we've had this in the Subaru previously. One of the bungs came out, and we're like, oh no, what's happened here? We're going to chuck this away. And in the end, what it turned out to be was the boot clip wasn't on, so the boot was opening.
Right.
So the noise from the exhaust was coming round in the boot and through the intercoms, and I'm like, what the bloody hell's that? Like, the exhaust is hanging off, and then you can hear Craig in the in-car. He's just like, just keep going, just keep it going, basically, fuck the car, just keep it going. We've had this issue before where obviously the turbo had died. I was like, just keep it going, because obviously I was panicking. We'd switched the anti-lag off and stuff. Right, let's just keep it going here. So obviously carrying on, and then we had a minute gap on James behind us going into the last stage, which is Dervig to Tobermory, and I was like, look, all I've got to do is, he's not getting past me. It's minute intervals.
Yeah.
Just don't let him pass. Fine, job done. So we went in, so we read the pace notes for a bit, and I says, right, Craig, chuck them pace notes away. Get them to fuck, throw the pace notes away. Let's just enjoy this. And it's such a shame because the in-car footage, the file corrupted halfway through that.
No.
I'm absolutely gutted. I can't ask for any more. Like, obviously we got the win and we did everything, but I was like, but if I just had the in-car footage, we could have seen the emotion, because, there beside your brother, you've won this rally. It's a boyhood dream. It's absolutely incredible. To come down there, like, it almost like beggars belief that we actually made it happen. Like, from all those days, my best man just got married this year. My best man, Stuart, he just dug out in his loft the other day. He's got like the signatures that we had from like 8 and 10 years old at the bottom of Rockfield, just up from here, stopping all the rally drivers and getting their autographs and the thing, and and then walking along the main street behind the Piper, watching the parades for everyone else, and it gives you goosebumps, and you're like, one day that could be me.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, the plan was just to be behind the Piper, like third. That would be fine as long as we're behind the Piper. And then we're first off we're coming along first behind the Piper, and it was like, this is surreal. Like, it was actually slightly embarrassing, because lots of the footage of me is basically me crying, along the main street and stuff. But like, that's just emotion that I couldn't hide. Like, that was years of work, years of late night, like, recceing in every single car we had. My mum's Kangoo, like the motorhome. We went out wrecking in the motorhome one time. Just like put so many hours into it, and it's all I think about and stuff. So to really pull it off, and it wasn't for me. I've said this before. It's kind of an interesting thing. Like, it almost doesn't really make sense, but I'm just the lucky person that got to drive the car, but it wasn't really me. I was just the person that was doing that part of it, like the whole thing around it, like so many people to thank that brought this together. People like borrowing jacks, bringing vans, Kyle Livingston taking a trailer here, and then like we've got lads in the road car, and then like they're not insured in the road car sometimes, and then I get a phone call like, oh, they've been stopped by the police because the exhaust fell off, and you're like, oh my God, am I going to go to jail? What's happening? And you're on all this mixture of emotions for all the years, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and my emotions are kind of clear to see, and kind of managing these things. I can't manage it without the support from my wife Alana, my mum and my family and friends. Everyone around me really kind of like, they know what I need to do, and they're like, right, Gus, go to sleep now, eat. Do this, relax, it's okay. And I did it for all these people that have supported me, all the people, all these youngsters in Tobermory. Yous can do this, it's there for the taking.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I can do to help the next generation come through and experience what I've been lucky enough to do, then they're very deserving, and I want to do that for them.
It's good to hear. So the feeling, like, I want to properly go into that. How was the feeling when you finished? You got on top of the car.
Yeah.
And you were cheering, what sensation of it? How good was that moment?
There's so many parts to it. Obviously, there's a huge excitement, and there's a burst of adrenaline. You're shouting in the car, yes, come on, Craig. And then Craig's doing this, but then still you're like, right, Craig, do we need to go anywhere? Make sure that time cards get stamped. We're not doing all that effort to miss a stamp, to miss a signature, to not get a time at the last moment. Like, we need to keep sharp. And even once you get out the car, is that it? Is it confirmed? Is it confirmed? Like, you know, is that us? And then just, it's like a swarm of people and family and stuff come over. Like, you know, my dad came in, my mum came in, and then, you know, there's great footage of, you know, my friend Stuart coming up and, you know, cuddling me, and it's so emotional, and you feel so proud of what we've all done. It's absolutely, you know, it's so incredible. It's actually like, I can feel the emotion now, you know, that it's just so many years of a lot of hard work, and, you know, kind of looking up to all my idols, like, you know, John McCrone and, you know, Callum Duffy and all these people for all these years, and it's like you're kind of now part of this elite club. You have
joined the winners of Mull, which I don't know if you thought you'd say, but you can say now, and
and nobody can take that away from me, really.
Not at all. You see, like the perfect storm, the perfect finish. It was literally a fairy tale thing, I'm guessing, for you. Like, everything went right. The year that you got an R5 was, well, luckily for you, but unfortunately for them, the years that the other two drivers dropped out. Yeah. So it just meant that you could go and win it. Yeah. And that is like, especially from the outside, it was something special. Seeing especially how much it meant. You were on top of the car, you were cheering. A local boy winning it, and he's like, this is his big time. He's got his big car. Yeah. And you went and won it. Like, it worked perfectly. Yeah. And it was absolutely great to see from the outside, especially. Yeah. Especially how much it means to even now. You've got a tear now, seeing how much it means to you. But yeah, that I was like, he really does like just show that dreams kind of can come true, I guess.
Oh, definitely,
I'm guessing that was your dream when you were younger, watching everyone else like do it. Yeah. Not just, I guess your dream was just to rally it. Yeah. But not just win it. So you've gone and won the rally. You've been on top of the car. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to celebrate. How do you celebrate getting your dream? Like, what did you get up to the day after, or even that evening? What were you up to? And how did you celebrate? Yeah. So obviously, fantastic to be able to share that excitement. And you're just going round like lots of cuddles, lots of handshakes. We're on the car. I think Noel was he said, "Oh, I'm going to have you for a roof skin." He said, because we're there like big footprints on top of the car. Giving it the big yeehaw. Yeah. Then after they are straight in for. I don't know if the first thing. I tell you what, it is worth winning the rally because you do get a free night. There was just pints and stuff coming up to me and everywhere, and I had this seat set up in McGawkins. It was kind of like the throne, they were saying, and I had Dan Harper there beside me, and he was standing there. We're having a right good bit of crack because he's good on the piss, is Dan. Yeah, he knows how to enjoy himself. So we're just great there, just sitting there drinking. Venoms, as we were talking about earlier, this mental, like, green mull drink, if you will, and, we're just getting stuck into the Venoms and that, and just really enjoying it. But then actually my nephew, the wee bugger, he'd had too much to drink, and I got a phone call to say that he was, let's say, worse for wear up at my flat, and he was needing some assistance, shall we say, crew off, stage 2, crew okay, So yeah, I had to go up and see to him, and that unfortunately kind of just took the vibe out of it a wee bit, so... but yeah, I mean, we still came back with the trophy, and we went through, we made efforts to go through, I really, really miss Pig Day. Pig Day, huge day through in Dervig. Typically, made great with the likes of John McCrone and Callum Duffy, obviously being, Dervig bears themselves, to go through there after like winning a rally, it's a huge thing for them, and the whole community comes together. And that's done with, Onibo gets a pig on the spit, and it hasn't been done for years, but it's something that we speak so fond of. And Pig Day is something, it's kind of like that term's kind of coined a bit now. You'd hear, Pig Day this and Pig Day that, but it's something I would like to bring back, and that'll be on the Monday. But unfortunately, I think, life gets in the way, really, doesn't it? We can't just go having fun all the time. And obviously, if you're coming up to go wrecking, then you're coming up here, let's say, folk are starting to come from last weekend, Monday, Tuesday, and they're taking a lot of time off work. So if you then add a Monday and another Tuesday on there, it's quite difficult to get all that time off. But yeah, we certainly went through to Dervig, and we were on some tables, and there was beer getting spilt everywhere, and we fair enjoyed ourselves. We certainly did. But proper good old party then. Yeah, good old celebration. As you should have. Yeah. Well, that's great to hear. Yeah. So we'll go on to this year's now. Yeah. Obviously, you've still got a Rally 2 car. Yes. We've just gone through the story when we're outside with that. But you've got a new navigator this year as well. Yeah. How come you're not with your brother anymore?
So unfortunately, my brother Craig, when he came over for my wedding this year, he had a crash on the mountain bike up at the Nevis Range in Fort William. He wasn't wanting to go, and he understands that he likes to push the limits, let's say. So he understands that if he gets in the bike, then there's going to be mischief, and he's a saturation diver, and diving, it's a very physical job, and he needs his hand. It's basically like a footballer. If they break their foot, they're kind of buggered. They're not making money.
Yeah.
Craig's the same. If he injures himself, then he can't make money. So he came up on the mountain bike, went up for a run, and unfortunately came off and quite badly broke his wrist. So that meant that we were having a look, and it's like, it should be sorted in time, should be sorted in time. But unfortunately, 2 weeks before, Mull got on the phone and says, look, Gus, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cancel. He would have to come from New Zealand, come over, do the rally, fly back, get a medical, fly back again. And, the financial implications, and we just couldn't really make it work. It wasn't going to happen. So, unfortunate that Craig hasn't been able to make it happen. That being said, Craig's had 3 fantastic years in the rally. And Craig doesn't do a lot of co-driving. He's a driver himself out there. But to come and share it together, our brothers together, we had 2 fantastic years in the Subaru. And then obviously we got a win together. You couldn't have asked for any more. So I think kind of passing that on now to Darren Thompson, who's one of my groomsmen at my wedding, one of my best friends. We grew up together getting these autographs. Myself, Stuart, Darren, Kyle, Larry, the whole lot of us all together. We're all like one big team. And Darren, is a very experienced co-driver and a driver himself as well. Last year, he finished 16th in Stephen Thompson's, which is his brother's, Yellow Mark II Escort. So a fantastic effort from him and a really stellar drive. Great to get to the finish and do that. So, hats off to him. He had some unfortunate years in the Subaru. We had a 2-car team with Dylan Davis, and unfortunately just some mechanical gremlins meant that he couldn't get to the end, unfortunately, for the 2 years prior. But he got his finish, and we all managed to kind of get together and celebrate together. So, the recce has been going well with Darren. He's all over it. It's a great feeling, and it's a great support to know, right, Darren, what's happening now? I can really lean back, and rest and say, right, Darren, where are we going? Can I do this? Can I go? Can I come here and chat nonsense to you for a couple hours?
Make him a bit more relaxed and a bit more like...
And it makes a difference, doesn't it?
I can imagine.
So, it's a great opportunity, and what an opportunity. I was actually getting kind of emotional. We just went up to the noise check just earlier on before scrutineering. I was driving up, and he wasn't there for the test on Monday, but he was with us now. So we went up, and I says, look, Darren, we've got the number 1 sticker just there. And I was like, look, we've got number 1 on the side. I was like, would you have ever thought? I said, us couple of idiots from Rockfield, up the Rockfield Rovers, just, messing around. Did you ever thought that me and you would be in the car at the front? Like, it's really something that I want to savour this year. I really want to enjoy it.
What's having that number 1 car, having that number 1 number mean to you? Like...
It's incredible, and I didn't realise how I would feel. I didn't even think about it that much until the stickers went in the car, and I'm out there having a look at the car just now, and the 1 is on the side, and you're like, wow, we're setting off car 1. We're first on the road. There'll just be a cam in front of us, and we are leading the pack. Obviously that comes with its own added pressures, but it's still, what's the word? Bloody cool.
Yeah. Well, it is. And do you have any expectations? Are you like, right, I'm going to go win it, or I want to get top 3 again, or I just want to finish, or are you just going out for a laugh this time? Do you have any expectations for this year?
So after last year and the kind of mental burden that it puts on me, it takes a lot to bring it together. And this year, I've had a lot on, a big year. Getting married, there's a huge logistical nightmare involved in that. And to be honest, I'm still, let's say, burnt out from that.
Yeah.
So kind of leading to that, the plan was, right, the Mark II Escort is half the price, let's say. So we're decreasing the odds. We're bringing everything down into a manageable area. But if we can do it in an ultimate spec 2.5 litre Mark II Escort, well, we can have a go. And if maybe in 2 or 3 stages we manage to match David Bogie, well, that's a bit of a result for me. First time in the car, it would be great to go out and, let's come into Smiddy Corner, don't be afraid, let's light it up, let's do the odd donut with the 1 on the side, or maybe get some Callum Duffy, stickers on it, just to really kind of reminisce and go back to where this feeling is all coming from. Unfortunately, as I'd said previously, we haven't been able to make that happen. And the mindset for that car was to go quick, but to enjoy it. And I was really looking forward to taking that step back. Now, with 5 or 6 weeks out, the plans drastically changing, it left me in a position where, okay, were off the line in a Rally 2 car. Incredible. What an opportunity. But it wasn't really the stress that I wanted this rally to be, and it's really it's been hard mentally, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, after being burnt out from, let's say, wedding and a big year previously, to then have to, you know, do everything last minute, and you're chasing sponsors and you're doing the best that you can. You're kind of fighting a lot of fires, aren't you, to get things going. I think now I need to really have a word with myself. And that is because I personally think I'm happy enough that John and Paul can go and do their thing. I'm quite content about that. And I think if we can get an all 3 local podium lockout that hasn't been done in 24 years, that would be incredible for both us, Mull, the island, the rally as a whole. I think that would be incredible, wouldn't it? You know what I mean?
That would be very good.
Fantastic. So I would be quite happy to come in there with John, Paul. No, it doesn't matter. Whatever all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and then if I come in there 3rd place, that would be great. The pressure then comes, it's like, well, the boys behind are getting quick now, and Daniel Harper's a 2-time Mull Rally winner.
Yeah.
And that thing is incredibly fast.
You can't write him off at all, can you?
No, and it
Definitely
took me the whole of last year to the whole of last rally to kind of even get close to his pace. So I think that might be an issue. That does bring me a concern. If I come in and, let's say, Roskell and Fordy are putting in a good push, bogey as well, you know, if the weather's in it and he can get the grip down, then there's going to be a lot of pressure there. And I think personally, as much as everybody says to me, you got your win last year, they can't take that away from you, you know, you're doing just fine. If I don't come in behind Paul and John, I think personally it would be a failure. And I think that it would almost devalue last year. Now, obviously, when I say this to people, they're like, give your head a shake or whatever.
Yeah,
but ultimately, the truth is, that's what I feel will happen.
I see where you're coming from, but also, this year is separate to last year. Last year, definitely not. But you've just got to, get your best go, because it is such a competitive this year. Like, because there were rumours about like a lot of them were doing it in Mark IIs, and then like you were doing it in Mark II.
That's what I was wanting to push for, a gentleman's agreement for Mark II escorts. And I tell you, the kind of that started because I thought, how amazing would that be? John McCrone, bang up for it. Daniel Harper would come here with a 2-wheel drive Mini. He's up for it. I would go Mark II. Callum Duffy was going to be a Mark II. David Bogie, Mark II. That would be a fleet of 5 Mark IIs. The issue was Paul's not interested in going in Mark II. So hopefully, Paul, if you're listening, just get a Mark II, and we can all come and play. But then, you know, like I actually had to take a step back, because that's all and well fine, me saying that, because I've got my name on the trophy and I'm now dictating to everyone, you need to go Mark II and Mark II. Well, no, Fergus, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's, you know, extremely selfish. You know, the fact of the matter was, when I went down for Jonathan Mounsey's birthday, which was a fantastic evening, I was chatting to him in the kitchen the next day and I was like, oh, why don't we go on Mark II, Mark II? And he said to me, well, Fergus, that's all right for you, isn't it? But we've been coming for years and we want to win the rally. You know, why have we all of a sudden got to go Mark II? And I thought, do you know what? I'm being extremely selfish here. And it really put it into perspective and made me take a step back and say, do you know what? You're bang right there. You're absolutely right. So I thought, well, if I can get a couple of Mark IIs going, that'll be great. And if I can get in the Mark II, brilliant. And it's almost kind of, maybe it's like, well, I haven't practiced what I've preached because I'm turning up in a 4-wheel drive Rally 2. But, you know, that was through budget restraints. And then obviously the car ultimately wasn't available once we did get that budget. So, yeah, it's maybe something we can look to in the future. And, you know, certainly John McCrone, he would buy one tomorrow, you know, if he could. But, you know, I think he's got some unfinished business.
Yeah, I think, because for some of them, a lot of people don't rent like you do. A lot of them actually own their own cars. So you can't just say, right, nah, I'm not going to go in my R5. I'm going to have to spend 20 grand or whatever more to get a rally.
Right, Roskell, you just leave the Rally 2 in the workshop and spend another, you know, 15, 20 grand and hire a ultimate spec Mark II just because Fergus has asked you. Like,
but it could be something like the Islanders say, like, are you free getting out and all seeing who's quickest in Mark II, say. That could be quite good. Yeah. So it seems like you do seem well prepared when I've seen you out. Plenty of stickers on the car. Including my own, which I'm very happy with. Getting a sticker on the car, number 1. Which is a bit of a dream for mine. So very, very good. So we'll go on to your foundation then. Because obviously you set that up this year, didn't you?
That's right.
Yeah.
So
tell me a bit about what's it for, what does it do, and everything like that.
So my Rally Foundation is something that I've been trying to figure out how to bring something together for probably the best part of 4 or 5 years. When I go away in the camper van, actually with my wife Alana, just eating the ear off of her about rallying. It's like, I'm here to relax. Yeah, but Alana, how can I do this? How can I do that? And Alana's a big part of the Shinty community, and with her and her father and her family, our father or my father-in-law takes a big part to do with like sponsorship and raising money. So he's very familiar with it all. So I was kind of said to Alana, like, I've been trying to figure out how I can help youngsters get into this. Sponsorship's a nightmare. And ultimately it comes down to, have I got the bottle to come in and speak to these people? Come in the pub and say, look, John or Emma in here, can you sponsor me for the rally? Pretty please, or whoever's got the best story, or whoever's, the best spoken. Now, obviously, I can run my mouth, no bother, but somebody's maybe quite shy, and why should they not get sponsorship because they're too scared to come in and go, look, Lindsay, and in the chip shop and Hook. Lindsay's, been a huge help to people, and certainly myself for years. Look, Lindsay, can you help us out a wee bit? Actually, I understand it. Like, there's a bit of anxiety comes with that. You're asking people for money. Why the hell should they give you money? So I was like, right, how can we do this? And I was thinking, right, well, kind of 2 parts. Why don't I set up like a membership program? So I say to you, you're now an affiliate member of the Rally Fund, and you put in £5, £10, whatever you want per month. And that just comes in steady, and it means that every year we don't have to keep asking. It just slowly accumulates and people don't notice. Rather than me coming up to you a month before the rally and saying, Oliver, can I get 500 quid? Because you're going to say, no. Yeah. But, if I come up at the start of the year and say, can I get 10 or 20 pound a month? You're like, I'll probably not notice that, and I know that you're doing something good with it. And the idea is that we'll use it as kind of almost like an honesty box. So I've got my foundation members and we're all getting together, and then we'll say, right, how is everyone fixed? How are you for sponsorship? Yep, Fergus, I'm good for sponsorship. I'm actually okay. We've got trust in our community that I'm building. And, some folk might say, well, look, I can't make the rally happen. It's like, right, well, what do you say? If we can get your entry paid for, do you think you can hook it up? Can you make it happen? Yeah. Right, let's do that then. And then all of a sudden, there we go. We've got somebody that otherwise wouldn't have done the rally. They're on the start line. They're good to go. They're sharing this experience of the Mull Rally and the best rally in the world. And I feel that it's for everyone to share. It's for you to share. Like, I don't know what your position you're in. You've probably not got a rally car or whatever. No. But do you know what I mean? Like, why should that stop you doing it? Because you're maybe not confident. Let's say asking for sponsorship or putting that branding out awareness or whatever it is. So ultimately, it's kind of like in 2 parts. So a financial output, and I'll be approaching some companies and trying to get some support. And we have had some fantastic support already. People coming in and really interested in the foundation, and kind of like spreading around that kind of wealth and that kind of like help. The other part of it is probably the biggest thing while the foundation's still building up its financials is basically mentorship. So obviously I'm good friends with Cameron Fair, a high-level co-driver, John McCrone, who, we don't have to give any explanation about his past and rallying exploits. Yeah. And then, like, I've got all these contacts and all these people that I know in Mull and within the rally community. And, I can say, right, we're struggling with this, or, how's your co-driver, or what about this? We did a fantastic lecture with Cameron Fair just last week. We got the foundation members together and we sat them down, and Cameron did lots of stuff where he was kind of like, well, look, this is what I've been learning when I'm sitting with Max McRae and all these things. And it's like, we need to prioritise our food, or like, where do we, like the basics, where do we eat and drink? How do we do this on an event? Because I fall foul of that. Like, I forget to eat and stuff. And pace notes, another huge one. So a lot of these people are buying like route notes, and I'm like, look, why don't we teach every person in the foundation how to write their own pace notes? Let's have a go. We want to get there, and if we're going to go out and do a rally out in Poland or Belgium or wherever with some of these folk, then you're not on the phone to Bill Sturrock down there, are you? No. Bill, I'm needing a set of pace notes. So it's teaching them all these skills, giving them the confidence, sitting them down. One of the foundation members, when I said, and they were like, oh, when you go out in recce, the co-driver reads you the pace notes. And I was like, yeah, how else would it work? And it's just like the things that I take for granted, like the basics. Even like, for example, when you're going out recceing, something as simple as, you know, if you're driving around practicing your left foot braking and you meet a car on a single track road, you're not speeding or anything, but if you go around, just keep your left foot on the brake, just pop it out of gear into neutral, and then just slow the car down there, compared to like bringing the left foot off, coming off the brakes, over and there. I mean, we're talking like very small changes, but you know, if you come around a blind corner and something catch or a deer or something, it's like all these little techniques that I just take for granted, you know, for all these years. So it's something I found extremely rewarding, and I'm very passionate about it, and I want it to be like kind of equal opportunities and for everyone. You know, it would mean so much to me for one of my foundation members to be setting off, you know, a full female team, driver and co-driver, because there's some dangerously fast girls about, honestly. And one of my youngest members in the form of April Blair, you know, I was privileged enough to sit and co-drive with her on the Condor Rally just recently. And it's amazing, 14 years old, and you know, you're coming in these little Junior 1000 cars and they're like sponges, and I tell you, there's no fear in them at all. They just want to go. And it's extremely rewarding, and to be honest, I said to my wife at the end of it, I said, look, Alana, it was such a rewarding weekend. I absolutely loved it. And I actually felt really nervous as well, more so than I thought, because I felt like a deep sense of responsibility. Like I've come up here to help her. I've got to do as much as I can to help her have a good rally and learn as much as she can. So I took it really, you know, really seriously and, you know, really to heart. And I was like, make sure she's okay and just give her as much help and motivation and stuff as she can. And we had a ball. It was so fun, you know. And for me, there's none of this dull rally driving, just cruising about and miserable. I'm not interested in any of that carry on. If you're not laughing and shouting on the intercom, then you've done it wrong. Why spend the money if you're just going to be miserable cruising around? So, you know, I'm on the intercom and, right, April, right, go for it. Right, we'll come in, right, I'll lift the handbrake. Right, you ready? Right, go! Handbrake on, the car's round, and then we're up on the grass, and then she's wheel spinning away, and I'm like, yes! I know, and I'm almost like grabbing her hand off the steering wheel, and I'm like cheering with her. I was like, right, come on!
Not too serious, having a proper good old
time.
That's what you want as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and she's gone away, she's got all these great memories, and I absolutely love it. It's great. So it's the foundation is something extremely passionate about. I've thought about it for a lot of years now, and I'm kind of bringing it to play. And now, basically, after the win last year, I was like, right, I can't afford or I'm not prepared to spend 30 grand every year to go and try and win it time after time after time. I'm happy now. My name's in the trophy. Let's switch fire and put back in what I've learned into the youngsters and kind of feed them up through the ranks and give them a helping hand.
Yeah, which is it's good to see, because I feel like a lot of time in rally you can just focus on yourself, like getting your own sponsors, get your own time, make sure you've got the right car. But what you're doing is make sure other people like the little stuff that you said, like with pace notes and everything, stuff where having someone to ask all the questions to would be so good. And also just helping them get that first step up. So it can be quite, well, especially from the outside, a very like scary world to get into, which you're obviously bridging the gap and making sure that people can get involved, which is really, really good. I'd say keep up the good work with the foundation.
Thank you,
Though one day I might be coming and joining.
Absolutely, that's it. I'll take your name down.
Give me some advice.
Yeah.
So we've got some like interesting questions to ask.
Right, okay.
What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self just before you started to do the Mull Rally when you were co-driving?
Back in them days, wow. I would say, Fergus, enjoy it and relax. Stuart will get to the end, it's okay. Because I was co-driving for my best man Stuart, and don't worry, Fergus, he doesn't crash. Because I remember being absolutely petrified. The first stage from Tomore to Dervick, I knew that really well, and it was fine. Confident, had all the flats in the notes. And then we went up onto the hill road and we had a massive tank slapper and a half spin. I was like, oh my God. So from the end to the end of the rally, I didn't say one flat in the notes. So I would say, Fergus, don't worry. Put in the flats and have confidence in him.
No, very good.
Yeah, and enjoy the process. You've got fantastic opportunities ahead of yourself. So just stick in there. Do what you do good and don't listen to the naysayers, because there's plenty of them. There's going to be plenty of hurdles and it always feels like you're going uphill. But you just keep chipping away, boy. You'll be fine.
Very good. This is a bit of an interesting one. If you're going to crash on any corner of the full island whilst rallying, which corner are you crashing at?
Okay, right. Well, I suppose you're looking for a couple of things, aren't you? First of all, where can you get out easiest and keep going?
Yep.
And then the second one is, what amenities do you have close by? I.e., where is the closest pub?
Yeah.
So I would probably pick. Well, actually, I've got another one. So I would actually pick 3 places.
Right,
now, I know you've asked for one, but I'll give reasons for all.
No.
So out the Rock Blast in the Dervig Road, or what everyone's calling Tree Corner.
Right, yeah.
So I would choose there because there's a good runoff. You're not going to do a lot of damage into the grass. And there's always a huge crowd.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for you.
Yeah, that's it. So you can push me out. The second one is obviously in the Bellacroix at Smiddy Corner.
Yeah.
Because if you have a moment or something happens there, then you're close, aren't you? You got nice warm pub up there. Everyone good vibes, nice and warm, plenty of drinking pints and all that. You drown your sorrows.
Yeah.
But the second one that just came to my head there is where actually I stopped and pulled in the episode of Island Crossings in, what would that be, 2022, when the turbo blew up?
Yeah.
And that was at Kevin and Fiona Gray's house. Wow, we were looked after in there. We went in and Kevin's there, right, you scooping like man, right, come on in, Fergie, come on, into the kitchen. Right, what do you want? We've got chilli, we've got a curry, we've got sandwiches, we've got all this. Right, you want a drink, what do you want? And honestly, we were looked after hand and foot. So actually, I would void all my last answer, just so if anyone wants to crash in the rally, do it at Kevin Gray's house. You'll be made to feel more than welcome.
Get a full belly and a full belly and a full drink. Oh, very good.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Well, hopefully you don't crash, but if you do, make sure you do it there then.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then, I'm obviously wanting to get into rallying, I'm obsessed with it. So what advice would you give to me or any of other people back here which are around 18, well even 16 to like 20, 25, but really want to get into rallying, don't quite know how or don't have the funds yet to, what would you give the advice, or just any advice at all to do with young people to get into rallying?
So, first of all, stay passionate about it and get in and around the sport. Build up those connections, constantly speaking and chatting to folk. You know, honestly, being able to chat to folk is a huge advantage. Get there, get your co-driving license or get your bars test. You know, nobody's waiting on you to do it. Just get it done, man. Get straight into it. You don't have to worry about what's there or, you know, what you need to look to. Just get stuck in. Find somebody that there's plenty of pages on Facebook and stuff that are looking for co-drivers. Just do a single venue if you want. Just turn up, do a single venue co-drive for somebody. There's plenty of people that'll take you on. Get stuck in there. Get in the car. You know, get your helmet, get your hands and all your suit, and get all that stuff together and get to the start line. After there, you know, decide what you want to do. If you want to just enjoy it, or if you got a bit of ambition about it, you know, you want to go somewhere with it. Well, once you get that bug, you don't stop until you get there. Leave no stone unturned, honestly. You've just got to go for it. And then, yeah, so enjoy it, get into there, enjoy it, and trust that the opportunities will come. If you speak to the right people, there's plenty of ways to get into the sport. You know, I'm not shy in saying how expensive it is. I talk about it consistently all the time because it's a nightmare. But if you believe enough in something, you can make it happen. And there's plenty of local businesses to help you out and stuff with sponsorship. You've got to remember that the likes of these rallies and all these places brings a huge amount of business and a lot of money coming through the island. You were talking, you know, like £1 million worth of like revenue comes through this island at the rally. It brings in a huge amount. So all these businesses are lining their pockets doing well. So if they've got to give 500, 800 or even £1,000 to some drivers just to get them going, keep the sport alive, they'll do that. So you've just got to be confident to ask. And then finally, what I would say is get in touch, give me a shout, let me see what I can do to help you. Get involved in the Rally Foundation, you know, shout out, get involved, and join up, and we'll see what we can do. Obviously, there's not an endless pot, and we can't pay for everyone to go rallying. I think that's obvious for everyone watching. But certainly, even if it's just to have somebody on the phone or say, look, Fergus, how do I do this? Where do I get my bars test? What do I do? You know, what's the links? What even is this thing? Give me a shout, and you know, I'll be happy to help, and always available on the phone if needed.
Very good. Right, so I'll take some of that advice myself. And then the final question: is rallying worth it?
Yes. Absolutely.
I guess there's a short answer and there's a long answer to that.
There is. It is absolutely worth it. And it's worth it not only for yourself, but everyone involved.
Yeah.
Again, it's not just me. You know, maybe you said you guys, you know, have watched me and other folk at the rally, and you've been a part of it, and this huge sense of community. The island is absolutely a buzz, isn't it? And that's what the rallying is. The rallying isn't only just about me driving fast in a car, just me. It's about my mum being a part of something, making the sausage rolls, doing the breakfast, seeing to everyone, right, is everyone okay, you know? And, you know, everyone coming round, all the family and friends, and getting all the kids in the car. It's worth it not only for you, but what you give back to it. You know, getting all the kids in the car. I absolutely love it, because I have fond memories of being allowed into the car when I was younger and hearing that noise and revving it up, and, you know, seeing all the kids coming in and, you know, having the crack and hearing the noise, and, you know, lots of nieces and nephews and stuff, and they've got all their names on the car and stuff, and, you know, they feel like they own a car.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So rallying is worth it, and for more reasons than you might initially think. It's not just about driving fast. I mean, certainly, when you come over that blind crest, flat out, up, over, down, huge, big downhill dip into a square right, and you're like, where am I going to brake? Where am I going to brake? And the co-driver's like, or Craig certainly be like, keep it on, keep it on, keep it going. And then you're like, right, keep it going, right now, brake, bang. And then you're on the sequential box, you're like, throwing down, bang, 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 bang. And then you're like, whoa, that was cool, you know. Those moments are very good.
Yeah, and then you've also got the community side.
Oh, huge community stuff. It's fantastic. It's great the rally's fantastic for Mull as an island and for everyone here.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it. The buzz about the island gets like, everyone's so excited. Everyone's obsessed with rallying.
Yeah.
You come from like outside the world where maybe not everyone is, and you come to this island.
Yeah.
Everyone's here for it, and everyone wants it. Right then, I believe that's a wrap to the video. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Really, really good luck this weekend. I hope
you.
you absolutely smash it. And where can we find all your Facebooks, your Instagrams, and your foundation? Tell them where you can find them.
Yeah, so you can find me. I'm over all the socials. You'll find me at Fergus Barlow or the Fergus Barlow rallying page. And if you contact me through any of those means, private message, whatever you want, just reach out and I will get back to you. And this is what we're doing is, again, we're still opening up the foundation and, you know, I'm yet to finalise the website, but we are working on all these things. So all these, you know, if something like that is out, by the time that this goes out, all the links and stuff will be put in the description for that. But yes, just reach out. I'm on all the socials. You'll find me. You know where I am.
Right 7 that side. There we are, yep. 80 through the grid. Flat left 4 sharp, 170. And long left 4, dips through the bridge and jump, 80.